You know what I like to hear right now? Nature sounds. Go. Hey everybody, it's Ty. How you doing? It's me, Adrienne. Hi. And welcome to the DOD45, where we'll talk to a guest and I'll draw on some paper. That's about the size of it. Today's guest, the one and only, the only one. You might have heard of him, you might not, but you're going to get to know him tonight. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, Dusk Raps is our guest. Give it up. More nature noises. Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
DOD45. This is the DOD45 Show, drawing over discussions 45 minutes with a special guest. Welcome. I'm your host and resident artist, Ty of ArtByTai, and with my co-host, Adrienne Taiwali'i, we're having conversations with people who I admire and am inspired by. On this episode, I'll set a 45-minute timer, put my pen to the paper, and we'll learn about our guest through an interview-style discussion. So stay right here with us to experience some laughs and maybe even learn a thing or two. DOD45. Okay, we're back. Haven't been gone long. Pardon my stuffy nose. All this time spent with family and people and friends and stuff for the holidays. I've picked up a little bit of a head cold. So anyway, our guest today is an old friend of ours who goes by Dusk Raps.
Now who's this coming out of left field? So smart, so bad, why you so damn trill?
I've been working all night, I'll be off in a few. I'm thinking about when I'm out, what am I gonna do? Then I start thinking about coming through to see you. Then you hit me like deja vu. Got one more stop, then I'm on my way. No cap, she'll miss you today. Head first to the window when shorty says come through. Can't get there fast enough, I just gotta get to you.
We own a bunch of Dusk's artwork too. He's not just a rapper or a singer that's one of Dusk's piece hanging up there right behind me. Did you buy that one?
I don't.
Or maybe he gave us that one from. We used to have them at our
old
show in Submerged
They're all pretty
in Art.
old.
Yeah.
The ones we have of his.
Yes. But I acquired a new one from him. He has a solo show coming up in Salt Lake City, Utah, a solo art show. Next week, Friday night. So figured we'd have him in here and chat about a little bit of that and just get to know Dusk. Do you remember where we first met Dusk?
Circle Lounge?
Oh,
I don't know.
Is that where you first met him?
I don't know.
Oh, well, maybe it's possible.
Brisk. I think I met Brisk at Circle.
Probably. Was Brisk the Circle Lounge was the sushi restaurant that was opened up for a little while in Salt Lake City, Utah that Adrienne worked at. But was Brisk a DJ there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brisk, everyone, all the hip hop artists out there that have come through Salt Lake City or that, it seems like they've all worked with Brisk at some point when they've come through or something. Mm-hmm. That's why you were thinking of Brisk. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even really know exactly when I first met Dusk, but we did have him. We used to put on the Submerged Art show, and we'd have him as a guest artist at the show a lot every year. So he's a big part of the Salt Lake City hip hop scene. I mean, I don't know what it is like now that we're older. Maybe he's like, older. I don't know. I mean, I know he's older, but maybe he is. No, last time I went to a show at the Urban Lounge. That's a place in Utah. I went to, it was like a hip hop show, and Dusk was performing there. He was like the special guest. And that wasn't too long ago, so he's still part of the scene. Anyway, he's a really good artist, and I'm a big fan of his music. We'll get back to him. That last week's Sage Francis live chat episode, that was a shitload of fun.
That was cool.
Were you overwhelmed by the amount of people that were... Because we were doing the giveaways, but also the chat, the live feed, the live chat was about more than we've ever had, like, all getting in on that.
Yeah, I wasn't overwhelmed, but I couldn't keep up with... I don't know how people do that, keep up with the conversation and the live chat.
You mean like paying attention to what's being said?
Yeah, I know that gamers can do it. They can see what's happening over here while they're gaming.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
That's not the kind of multitasking you can do?
My brain wasn't built for that. No, I can't even. I was having a hard time watching Soul play that game Stray last night.
Oh, yeah. Our son got a gift, a PlayStation game called Stray. Stray? It's just a cat. You're just a cat. You're just a cat and you wander around. It's pretty awesome. We played for like 4 hours last night.
I know. Part of me went, I fell asleep and I thought, in my sleep, I thought, I need to wake up and tell Soul to blink to make sure he blinks.
You don't have to tell him to blink
I
anymore.
know. I was asleep.
That's funny that it is weird that you can't multitask watching live chat happening and listen to the episode, but it seemed like yesterday you were multitasking. You were cooking like 400 different meals. Well, not yesterday, but for Christmas.
I pretty much had everything ready to throw in oven on stoves. So I got it. I was doing it all week.
How was your Christmas?
It's good. It was nice.
Did you have any favorite things?
Favorite things. I think our game with our family was probably a favorite thing.
Oh, the
white elephant.
White
game.
elephant game we did with our family. That
The
was cool.
extended
Was that worth?
I should have won, but
we did this thing new this year. Our family white elephant. White elephant is a game where everyone brings a gift and then you pick it and then it gets traded and it's in the middle of the pot. Anyway, our thing was whoever's gift gets traded the most wins $110. That was the money that we put in the pot. So that meant everybody brought like a really good white elephant.
yes, everybody brought really good gifts and it was really intense.
My gift was 3 of the ArtByTai puzzles and $100 bill.
Yes.
I was trying to break even. If my gift got traded the most, I would win back the 100.
That was my plan, but I thought, well, we have a lot of younger people in our family, so I bought a day pass to our local amusement park.
Lagoon
here in Salt Lake, and then I had an old my brain's not working. Not
jacket?
Backpack.
Over the shoulder man bag.
Over the shoulder boulder holder.
Yeah.
And I filled it with all sorts of fun stuff. And those tickets to the amusement park are for a day pass are $100.
Yeah.
But I got that on sale, so I put $100 worth of stuff in it.
But
so I was hoping to win to just break even, just for the fun of it.
Yeah, it was just for fun anyway.
But you and your brother both put in $100, and he put in a fancy watch and $100.
Yeah, me and my brother think alike, and he put the $100 bills and a watch, a Rockwell watch, in his, and his got traded one more time than mine did, so he won the $100. But it was fun.
fun.
I wanted to bring up you always do real good with gifts. Everybody does good with gifts. I had a shitty year with my gifts this year. I don't know what happened of my giving of gifts, but I got this gift from our daughter. It was pretty awesome, and she reached out to Mr. Dibbs and asked if he would. I guess how long ago? Do you know, Adrienne? I don't even know.
Couple weeks, 3-4 weeks.
She reached out to Mr. Dibbs about 3 weeks ago and asked him to send a signed photo of himself, an autographed photo to me or for me. And she was kind of like didn't think he would actually do it, but she said he was pretty excited about it, and yeah, he sent us nice. A
nice uplifting letter.
Letter and a pretty what would you say, risque photo shoot?
Not at all. No, he wasn't in lingerie on the
No,
bed.
but he was acting like he was.
Bed,
He was on the
looking
bed,
cute.
looking. It was pretty funny. He wrote a little note. It was cool. It was just a funny gift. It was mostly just cool that my daughter, that she reached out to Dibs and did that. So that was really cool. I don't know if I'll ask Dibs if he's cool if I show that, but
It was a private gift.
it is a private gift. That's why I haven't. I didn't post it or anything.
I'm just kidding.
Do you have any New Year's resolutions? That's coming up. None. You don't. You've never.
Probably eat no cheese.
Yeah, well, that's easy to do. You haven't eaten cheese in fucking, 5 years, 6 years?
Yeah.
No, we don't. Did we ever really do the New Year's resolution thing?
I did. I think one year it got me off of soda.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but then I just don't care anymore. Not about soda. I don't drink it anyway anymore.
You just don't like the idea of, like, if you want to do something, it doesn't have to come with New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think of you tend to. You think a new year or a new week or I'll start on Monday.
Yeah.
But that's just
Not
today is today.
Yeah, I'm always like, I'll binge eat Sunday because I'm going to start a whole new thing on
a
Monday.
new diet.
Yeah, or
You
something.
and your diet plans.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any New Year's resolutions either.
No?
No, so we'll just skip right over that. Well, let's see. I guess, that drinking game part of it was just like a fun thing to do. I couldn't even keep up with it. I'm
No,
speaking about the last
that's-
episode.
That on top of it, forget it.
Yeah.
That was too many, but
It's too many things going on.
I'm sure some people can put all that in their brain and figure that out. Am I too far? I feel quiet
No,
in the
it
headphones.
sounds fine. Yeah, I have the headphones turned down a little bit so it's not so hot for us, but and also kind of forces us to speak up a little bit. Yeah, so I guess you can, that Sage Francis episode, last week's episode, you can be used at any time that you want to get your friends together and play a drinking game. You can watch that episode.
The giveaways were cool too.
Yeah.
Lots of fun ones.
Almost everybody's got their gifts. There's a couple of people who haven't responded yet, but we gave out a lot of gifts and people were really excited about that. So yeah, our guest today is Dusk Raps. He's got a solo art show coming up next Friday.
In Salt Lake City?
In Salt Lake City.
Or is it in Ogden or...
I think it's in Salt Lake City. It's at a gallery called Lost Acorn. It's funny when I don't know the gallery specifically, but we're going to the show Friday because I'm going to pick up my piece. So the piece I acquired from Dusk Raps, it's a piece that he did. It's MF Doom and Castle Grayskull hybrid or mashup. It's pretty freaking awesome. When he first posted, I was like, "Oh, yep, I want that," and I DM'd him, and so I'll be acquiring that. We're going to pick that up. But yeah, that Lost Acorn Gallery, in their Instagram handle, I think it's like Lost Acorn Gallery or something, but I read it as Lost Acorn. So I was and in the intro, I was gonna say, yeah, this gallery Lost Acorn. So I'm glad I realized that it was Acorn last minute. So yeah, that's a Lost Acorn Gallery. And he used to, I don't know if he's still doing it, but Dusk used to do, or he has done quite a few covers of Slug Magazine. I know that's a Utah thing, but it's a pretty major Utah thing. Everybody that comes through Utah, any artist, any musician, any act or anything that's come through Utah, Slug Magazine has covered it. Slug Magazine's probably been around for, would you say 30 years or more, Adrienne?
It's been around since I was a kid.
It's a pretty fantastic magazine, and it's the fact that it's still around. It's
How many
pretty
covers
awesome.
have you done?
For Slug? Mm-hmm. None. And I know who owns the magazine and anything. I don't think I've never reached out to them. They've never reached out to me about it. I don't know. Maybe I should reach out and see. I don't know. It's a great magazine. It's a monthly magazine, but it's an awesome magazine. So if you're in Utah or even if you're outside of Utah, you should check out Slug Mag always. All right. So I guess that's it. Oh, I do want to say, I really do listen to Dusk's music. It's always, for me,
Really do? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
well, sometimes it's weird to listen to the music of people that you like. Actually, well, I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah, you're gonna
No,
open mouth, insert foot. Like
no, I wasn't going to do anything. That I what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring up two of my favorite songs from Dusk because it gives me an opportunity to play it on the show. So one song that I just fucking love that's almost in every single one of my playlists is one of his songs. It's a single called Coffin Lid.
You left me for dead. I'm very much alive. Voices in my head. Red moon on the rise. Talk about forever. Cold gray sky. Talk about forever. Talk about you and I.
It's awesome, and it's available on Spotify and all that. And he's also got a Bandcamp. But the single's called Coffin Lid. And then he's got another single out called Leave Me Alone.
Leave me alone, why don't you leave me alone? Don't bang my line, I don't answer the phone. Don't judge my girl, don't count my dough. I've been steering my life where I wanted to go. Who are you to tell me about some self-control? That's what I want to know, that's what I want to know.
Which is another really great song. Both those singles, or the Coffin Lid I think he did maybe 2017. It's a little bit of an older one. I think Leave Me Alone is from 2020. I don't see anything. His last album, I think he came out in 2020. So we'll have to ask him if he's got a new album coming out, what his focus is there. But
Yeah.
all right. Well, let's take a quick break. Let's hear from one of my favorite people again, AWOL1. I love hearing his voice. The commercial will never get old.
Has he been recording new podcasts?
No, he's coming out with a new album. So AWOL1 has a new album coming out too. And for one of the singles, they're using my my artwork, the stereo head lady with the octopus.
Cool.
So yeah, he's using that for his album cover, or not, for one of the singles. They're using that. But the album cover that he's got right now is awesome. And I don't know when the date is that, but anyway, AWOL1's got a new album coming out, so look that up. All right, we'll be right back after these messages. We'll be right back with Dusk 1. Hold tight. Not Dusk 1, Dusk Raps.
DOD45.
Hot sauce.
We're real thrilled to have partnered with Hot Sauce for three simple reasons. Their hot sauce is delicious, the owner and creator David is a solid dude, and they collaborate with dope artists for their labels, including myself. Boom. Amplify your favorite foods with their award-winning flavors. Head over to hobsauces.com to get yourself some absolutely delicious artisan hot sauce. Hit it, Bobby.
Have sauce, have sauce. What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Put it on your food. Hot sauce.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the world. My name is Tony, and I have a podcast, too. I know what you're saying. I already know. Okay, but I have a podcast, too. Just like you, just like your grandma, just like your grandma's neighbor. We all have podcasts, except mine is different. I'm different. I was born different. The Speaker Face podcast is fun. It will teach you probably nothing. You cannot smell it, and you definitely can taste it. Speaker Face podcast by me, AWOL1, and I talk to my friends. I talk to musicians, artists, all kinds of creative people, all kinds of human beings. I do like little songs and little freestyles and skits. And so after you're done listening to DOD45 with my man Tai, which is a very, 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 very interesting podcast that you should religiously watch and listen to, after you're done, check out speakerface.store for the Speakerface podcast. And you could also listen to it wherever other podcasts are podcasting. You know what I'm saying? So check it out, Speakerface podcast. Your life will be better. I don't promise. Speakerface podcast.
check out our new partners, Brim of the World, a.k.a. Seek, Conquer, and Destroy, a.k.a. Aliens Built Earth. I'm always wearing their gear, especially the hats, and in almost every episode of the DOD45, you'll see me rocking something from these cats, because I'm a fan. Show them some love and treat yourself right to a new wardrobe or some new headgear, and I'm not talking about braces headgear, I'm talking about hats. Check out all their gear and links at brimoftheworld.com. Hey, real quick, my friends, my art is available for purchase at ArtByTai.com. So if you like what you're seeing or you want to support the DOD45 show, the best way for you to do that is to pick up a print or an original at my website. If you're not quite ready to buy, but you still want to help out, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you stream from. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel at ArtByTai and engage in the comments. That goes a long way. All right, enough already. Let's get back to the show.
Listen.
DOD45.
Welcome on the show, man. I'm happy you're joining us, and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Glad to be here, man. Appreciate it.
How are things for you? Things all right?
I'm good. Yeah.
Cool. Do you celebrate? Are you like big into Christmas, or is it just another day for you?
I don't really care, honestly. Like it's kind of just another day.
Yeah.
I'm one of those guys.
Do you do anything or not?
No, not really. I mean, I'll buy presents for younger people or whatever, and but pretty minimal.
That's not what we do.
What's your secret? Why do you still look 20?
I don't know.
What's your beauty regimen?
Baby blood.
Illuminati secrets.
Oh, so you were in there with Jay-Z and Dre and all them.
Well, yeah. Have been for years.
I better be careful about that. I just listened to a podcast and people were talking about it like that's a real thing. I don't know.
Drinking baby blood?
No, about like Jay-Z and Dre being like an Illuminati thing. Yeah. It was Dibs, this last podcast that Dibs was on. All right. Well, good. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I was telling you several months ago, probably a year ago, when I saw you at a show at Urban Lounge. I was saying I really wanted to have you on, and it's just been kind of crazy. So,
of course,
it's been difficult to get in, but I'm glad that we're getting you in today. So,
yeah, I'm honored, man. I've watched several of the episodes, and I would just flip back through to see, because I know there's some that I missed. Man, you have a hell of a lineup.
Yeah, it's been good. Last weekend's with Sage Francis was a fucking real fun one.
That's so cool.
All right, well, I'm gonna set the timer and start bombing you some questions, and I'm gonna draw you. You had mentioned that you really like gorillas. I think. Do I have a paint? Oh no, you did a gorilla for a Slug magazine cover once. Or
I have a gorilla.
You have one of his gorillas?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of them for various things.
Well, yeah, you like gorillas, and so
I thought you
draw
guys were
a gorilla.
talking about gorillas
with a Z.
Blur, the guy from Blur. Yeah.
Yeah, Dusk did an album cover for the Gorillas.
Oh, man, I wish.
Yeah. So, and then you had mentioned. Sorry, one of the things that happened to me is I picked up a head cold in all this holiday celebrations.
Oh no.
I did test negative, so it's just a head cold.
Not like you can catch it over.
I know, but still, like I see people when I was wearing the mask at the Christmas party yesterday. I see people kind of looking at me like, "Uh-oh, what's he got?"
Right? You still can't cough in public, man.
No, even for me, when I hear it, like, if I'm in a large gathering and I hear someone coughing, I sort of inch my way away. But I'm also with this drawing. You said Cheech Wizard. Was one of your favorite cartoons. That's an old comic. Is it an old? Because I'm not aware of who Cheech Wizard is.
Yeah, it was like there's an artist named Von Bodie he was popular like in the 70s, and it's kind of like a weird. It's not an actual cartoon, I guess, per se. It was like more like a comic, but he was kind of like a psychedelic artist or whatever. And it was a lot of his stuff would get used in like kind of like early early graffiti stuff and whatever, you'd see a lot of his characters kind of pop up like in backgrounds of like old subway cars that got painted and like that kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, I'm gonna squeeze him in here too. I also last night, or no, was it last night? No, Christmas Eve. We had this big debate with Sage Francis about Die Hard being a Christmas movie. He was absolutely against it. But then he I know. But then he brought up the point, well, if it just has to take place during Christmas, is Beach Street a Christmas movie? Now, I didn't think it was. I mean, I would never think it was one, but we watched it, and it's definitely taking place during Christmas, and you know, with the Treacherous Three does their whole Santa's rap. Yeah, I don't know.
Right?
I don't know.
It does fit the metric. I didn't really think about that, but yeah, I guess by that same rule, you can add that one to the list.
Yeah, and it's a good one. When was the last time you watched Beach Street?
Oh man, it's been a hot minute. I bet it's probably been a few years since I've seen that.
Yeah, it's just really, really good. It's weird how I haven't seen it in probably 20 something years, and just going back and watching, it's just weird. Like I have lines memorized. Like I don't know.
Right, like when you like those old hip hop movies in particular, I feel like they're. You know, you find that stuff when you're a kid, and a lot of people do. So it like a lot of like little references and phrases and stuff will find their way into like, you know, the interludes on albums, or somebody might make a reference to it in a song or something like that. And it's like, you know, you rewatch it and little lines, at least that's how it is for me. Like little lines or something like that might jump out at me where I'm like, oh, no, yeah, that's where it came from.
Yeah, and it gets like an exciting feeling. I know our son's been way into he's way into making beats and stuff right now. He's 15, but he'll hear he'll hear like old Bill Withers. Like he'll just hear old shit and he'll know exactly who sampled it. Not exactly, but when he hears it, he gets those goosebumps like, "Oh, that's from blah 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 blah." And I don't know, it's exciting.
Right. That's one of my favorite things. I can remember when I discovered that hip hop beats were made from samples, and what a sample was like, you know, I was probably around that same age where I like realized like, oh, like Big Daddy Kane is rapping over this little repeating piece of a James Brown song, and that's a sample. So it's then you know, probably what he's doing is now you want to find everything. You want to know what every sample is.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's exciting. That ends up, you end up making good music that way.
There's a whole website for it now, right?
Oh,
right, yeah.
Know. Oh, what does it do? Like you can just, is it like an app where you can play it, or do they just go
you look
through?
up the song and it tells you what samples they used in each song.
Man, who's categorizing that? That'd be a fun little gig.
I think it's kind of like an open source thing, maybe sort of like how Wikipedia works.
Oh yeah, that's cool. That's a good idea.
Right. It's pretty interesting to see that.
Let me hit you with some of the Sophie's Choices. Sophie's Choice is when I give you like either this or that.
Okay.
So here's your first Sophie's Choice. Who's hotter, Meg Ryan or Ryan Gosling?
Well, you know what? Meg Ryan in her day, man.
Yeah. I was going to do the in their day, but I think Ryan Gosling is in his day right now. So that's not really. Yeah. Homeboy's pretty hot, though.
He's having his moment.
What's a better war movie? Apocalypse Now or Full Metal Jacket?
Apocalypse Now. Those are both good movies, though.
Yeah. Have you seen the documentary that I think it's called Hearts of Darkness? His wife, Francis Ford Coppola's wife, made it during the film while they were making Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, so good.
Man, that movie was nearly his undoing, man.
Yeah.
Hers?
No, his.
Oh, I've still never seen it.
Yeah, anytime the movie. See, I had asked you earlier about what your favorite movie was, and you had mentioned Apocalypse Now. But yeah, anytime that movie comes up, that's like the first thing I want people to go see, even if they, is to go watch that Hearts of Darkness, because it's the making of that movie was fucking gnarly, and Marlon Brando was a goddamn nut, and like
Right, like the whole thing was kind of wild. Like the opening scene, if you remember, is the main character is kind of having like he's back in Vietnam for like his second go around or whatever, and he's having like this mental breakdown, and it's like this really intense scene. And I was like, I don't remember if it was I think they talk about it in that documentary, The Hearts of Darkness, that he really was having like like he was having heart problems and like, I think problems with his marriage and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And like,
Martin Sheen.
Yeah. Like when he punches the mirror, like that wasn't supposed to happen. Like he really just like cut himself and like,
and his hand was bleeding everywhere.
Like, everything surrounding the movie was like, pretty intense.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, and that whole scene is pretty crazy. It's Martin Sheen sort of losing his shit in the hotel room, and he had just the movie had been on cancel for a little while because Martin Sheen had like a heart attack, and even prior to that, they had Harvey Keitel they like shot a whole bunch of footage as Harvey Keitel's the main actor, and then they dropped him. Yeah, it's really cool. People should go check out. I mean, if you haven't seen Apocalypse Now, I don't know what the fuck you're waiting for.
Is Martin? I haven't seen it. Is Martin Sheen?
It's Charlie's dad.
That's their dad.
Yeah, Charlie and Emilio's pop.
Yeah,
and he's way young. In it. Yeah, he was way young in the movie too.
So did they record it right after Vietnam?
No film company wanted to pick it up because it was too soon for a Vietnam
like late 70s.
Yeah. Well, they were like, wait, do we really want to do that? But yeah, it's a fucking brilliant movie.
I'll have to watch it.
How about this? Woody Allen or Woody Harrelson?
Woody Harrelson.
Yeah. Yeah, Woody Harrelson's pretty dope. I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter if you're a dope smoker or not, but Woody Harrelson's like, he's pretty awesome, dude.
Right.
Woody Allen isn't a big pothead.
No, I don't. I doubt it. Woody
Is he the old man with the big glasses?
Yes, and he's the neurotic freak. Like he could definitely go for some weed.
Yeah, he should look into it. I think he has like that real nervous disposition.
Though that's where his I mean, that's like his whole identity. So that might actually ruin him.
Right.
That was one of the reasons why I never really got into smoking weed, because my artwork and stuff was like, it's my whole thing, and I don't know. I never wanted to mess around with my mind. So,
right.
I mean, I was into trying stuff, but I just it never stuck for me.
Plus, it made you paranoid.
It does. It does. It makes me all weirded out. That's what I mean. I was never good at it.
Right. I think it does that to everybody.
Yeah, but some people, I don't know. I look at Snoop. I don't think he's ever fucking worried about anything.
Well, he's an anomaly all the way around.
That's true. Hey, how did you end up getting started in music, and I guess in hip hop specifically? I guess.
I just have always liked music, and just from a young age, kind of found my own music, and so I'd been listening to rap since I was probably like in elementary school. But as far as like getting introduced to like a music scene and participating myself, that probably happened like in high school. A friend of mine that I grew up with, my buddy Micah, he was in some classes when we were in high school with this guy that went by Adverse. I don't know if you ever knew him or not. But anyway, he was like kind of the local badass at that time. And anyway, like we went and hung out with him a few times, and then went to his studio and recorded like some of like it was like my first time being in a studio or anything like that. And it was like horrible rapping and whatever, but it was like once I was able to do that, I was kind of like, oh, this is what I want to do, and so from there, then I would start kind of just like recording over other people's instrumentals and stuff like that, or, like off of like a CD or a cassette single would have the instrumental to a song on it. Or later we would start to go to Funksion when we discovered what that was, the hip hop shop back in the day. And we would buy, records, and we would actually, I think maybe I told you about this before, Ty, but like we would get these Mr. Dibs tapes, and they're all just this whole mix of like this crazy kind of instrumental stuff. And I had like a boombox that had the 2 tape decks, and you do the old trick where you plug in headphones into a mic jack and you can rap through it. And so I did that for a long time. And I was just kind of doing all this in secret. I wouldn't really show my friends. And then, you know, whatever, like you just kind of keep doing that stuff one step at a time. And then eventually it goes from that to like rapping to people like at a house party or whatever. And then,
was that one of the first places that you got up and started rapping in front of people? Was at a house party or something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so it was kind of funny. Like I always wanted to do it, but when I started to go to local hip hop shows, like everybody, to me, it seemed like everybody was like already so good. It was like there was no chance to even do that. You know what I mean? So I kind of just watched for a long time and like, you know, did it in secret. And it took even, I was probably at it for like a year or something like that before I even started showing my friends or anything like that.
What do you remember what your like first show where you got up in front of like a crowd of people? Not like at a house party, but like at like a show.
Yeah, there was a couple that I did that I can remember from early days. Like there was one that was in the basement of Uprok, which is now some other bar, I guess.
So yeah, for the people that don't know, Uprok was like the hip hop spot in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, so it's still around. It's kind of had different incarnations over the years. It's changed hands. But yeah, it was a hip hop shop. So it was like, you know, at that time they sold records, they sold, like kind of early streetwear that you couldn't get anywhere else, like tribal gear or whatever.
So the show that you did though in the basement was this. I remember they were in like a house on like 33rd South up kind of by Salty Peak snowboard shop kind of. Was it post that or pre that?
It was post that. So that one you're talking about was basically a previous incarnation that was called BP Records, Blastin' Productions.
That's right.
And that was run by this guy Dumpy. I don't know. That's a spot that I knew of, but by the time I was like kind of could get around, it had morphed into Funksion, but it was basically the same guys. And like Funksion eventually turned into, you know, with some twists and turns or whatever, turned into Uprok. And so Uprok has continued on. I mean, I guess times are changing in Salt Lake City, and we're not just doing a whole Salt Lake City thing, but I thought this was interesting. Is there only room for one hip hop shop in Salt Lake City, or what are your thoughts on that? Or at the time, I guess. I think there's kind of, I mean,
as far as for the amount of people that can
I think that it's pretty well established. There's one. I feel like it would be kind of like the same reason there's only one Uprok is the same reason there's only one heavy metal shop.
Right.
That's gone, right?
No, I think the heavy metal shop's still there. Yeah.
Oh, didn't he die?
Oh, I don't know.
I think his wife and his son have passed away, but the owner is still around and running things.
And that's a staple in Salt Lake City for sure.
Right. You see those sweatshirts are world famous. You see them pop up on all kinds of people.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Raunch too. Like I love rocking my Raunch gear too.
Right.
Wasn't Raunch? Well, I guess it doesn't matter.
What?
It seemed like that was next to Funksion at a time.
Yeah. That was,
it was like
we used
they
to
were
cut
neighbors.
schools.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're right in Sugar House now. Now it's like where Barnes and Noble and all that is now. But yeah, but we would make like a whole pilgrimage, you know, to go from where I lived in West Valley to like to Sugar House, you know. So we had to sometimes would take some doing, like if somebody didn't have a car or whatever. So we want to go make all the stops. So I can remember going into Raunch too, and like just like being exposed to all that stuff was so cool, you know. Like it was just really kind of sealed the deal for me as far as, anyway, just kind of long story long to answer your question about how I got into music and everything. Is like, once I kind of got exposed to like a scene and like some subculture, that to me, I was just like, ooh, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, and it was kind of it is kind of what, when I think about like subculture in Salt Lake City, like this is what a lot of people don't understand who are from cities that like fucking have shit popping off everywhere.
Right.
But we really only had like the area Sugar House that we mentioned, like that was a spot when we were younger, like that's where you'd see all these gaggles of people hanging out, and you're like, when I grow up, like I'm gonna fucking hang out around there.
Well, there was the Java Jive right there.
Yeah, Java Jive, Wizards of Dreams.
And then I think Dancing Crane was right there. There's hippie shops, and then there was the hip hop.
Yeah, it was all the dope spots were there, and now that they've kind of been gentrified, and I mean there are still cool spots there, but now it's like a shopping, like a plaza shopping.
Yeah, it's like expensive apartments and microbreweries and whatever.
Yeah, one of the
but
downsides.
Yeah, like back in that period, I kind of refer to it as like, I don't know if this is necessarily all the way accurate, but the way I kind of think of it, like it was like our like Haight Ashbury or something like that. It was like where you go down there and see some if you're like a suburban kid, you go down there and see some like kind of wild stuff.
Yeah,
you know, and kind of see a little bit of everything that was outside of like the norm.
Yeah, and you had to hop on the bus to get there.
Yeah, that's a totally accurate.
3 stops,
yeah.
Switch over buses.
I mean, and everybody was trying all kinds of, I mean, yeah. Also, there was a spot, like the little corner where Zephyr Club was. I always thought that was like a popping off spot that I always wanted to be a part of, too.
Yeah, another great landmark.
Yeah, and it's gone. Another one that bit the dust. Hey, did you ever make music with Brisk? Yeah. It seems like
so that was the first kind of real studio that I went to was recording with him. So we I can't remember who, I think maybe Blazek or somebody took me there the first time, but for probably like the first, I don't even know like how many years, probably first 10 years that I was recording in a studio I pretty much almost exclusively recorded over there. And
what was his studio called? Did he have a name?
It was called Ghost Recon Studios.
Oh, yeah. Do you still see him around, or is he still making music? I don't know much about like anything in Utah anymore.
Right. Yeah. You've had your hands full. Yeah. He's still doing his thing. He has different people that he works with, and he's also for years has been a DJ.
Well, let me ask you a quick question. Sorry, I don't mean to keep jumping all over, but everybody I talk to, like all these MCs, everyone, all these rappers, all these DJs, everyone that has come through Salt Lake City, everybody knew a Brisk. And I'm curious of why, if you knew why, like how that ended up happening. Was it just because he was the? Well, or did he do something with somebody?
He's somebody that I put it this way, like he's the first person that I knew personally that was making a living from hip hop. So he was like a real B-boy, you know, like as far as like the old school definition of like, you know, all the 4 elements and all that kind of stuff. Like, so he was like a notorious graffiti artist. He was a DJ. He was making beats. He was one of the guys that was running Funksion. So like if there was something that was happening, then, you know, in the early days of hip hop here, then he was involved, or he was making it happen.
Wasn't he like help to bring people to do shows here? Yeah.
I think if memory serves me correctly, I'm sure that he had a hand in bringing Dibs out here for the first time. And I know that they were eventually, probably through Scribble Jam and all that stuff, became connected. That's how he, I think, got connected with the 1200 Hobos crew, which was like all those guys. So he had a big hand in things early on, you know what I mean? And he's like kind of like a real low key dude, you know, like he doesn't necessarily care about heavy promotion and things like that. But he's just like,
he just does his thing.
Yeah. It's just, people just know, like, if this, so he, his having the studio and everything, he was just just well respected history.
Yeah.
Within hip hop,
Yeah.
Can we try to remember? I was actually thinking about this the other day. What were the 4 elements? I thought it was 5, but you said 4.
So it's basically
breaking,
breakdancing, DJing, graffiti, and rapping. And some people would, throw in other things of like, oh, there's 5 or whatever. And some people would consider the fashion to be the 5th element. Some people would consider like knowledge to be the other one. Just kind of depends, so a lot of people don't really even think of it in that way. Like to talk about that is kind of, I think at this point is kind of looked at as like just for old heads or whatever, but whatever. It just is what it is. It's just supposed to change.
Yeah, for sure. Were you doing booking for Urban Lounge or something at one point, or are you?
I would I worked there for a long time and is like a door guy and a bartender or whatever, but I would book shows there also, like, just like, it wasn't like I had like a paid position there, but it was just, I would, booking my own shows and things like that. And then helping other people. And then, when we started to, go out of town and play shows, part of how we would do that is we would trade shows with people. So, I would set them up with a show here and because I worked there oftentimes at Urban Lounge, that was like an easy way for me to do that. And so I would set up something there at Urban or whatever, or sometimes at Uprok or both.
So that's a common way to like put together like DIY shows, like you're out playing shows and those locals want to come and play another show. So you would just do like will you hook us up with shows out here? We'll hook you up with shows out here.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people do that. And that was like a super helpful thing for me. And I would try to just really take care of people. And so that, hopefully one hand wash the other when I would go to their town.
Yeah.
And
because that's the hard thing, getting people to show up to your shows if you're mostly from one spot.
Oh yeah. When you're kind of relying on their audience, you can try to promote yourself on the internet and whatever as much as possible. But at the end of the day, in a situation like that, you're kind of, they're doing you a solid. We try, when we set them up here, then we would try to bring out as many people as possible so that, and throw them on in like what would be like the more crowded part of the night so that they can, so they can get in front of some heads.
Right.
And anyway, that worked out pretty good for me. I've met a lot of people that I haven't been as heavy on that stuff, but I still am in contact with a lot of people that I met back in the day doing that.
Let me hit you with a few of these. I was going to do it. How about this? Oh, you know what? Shit. I'm sorry. I got a little ahead of myself. What track did you did a track? I know you said you used to do stuff on like a bunch of dibs and stuff, but didn't you have a specific track that you did, that you rapped over, that you like reached out to Dibs or like you shared it or something online and then he saw it?
No. Also, I was going through my closet and I was just kind of decluttering my apartment and I found all my tapes, all my cassettes, and there was one that I had that was just like one of his early tapes or whatever, and I just posted it just because I was like, oh yeah, this was, was cool and whatever, and so I put it on Instagram and tagged him in it.
Yeah,
and he hit me up and was like, oh damn, I don't even have one of those or whatever.
He didn't have one.
Just as a fan,
Yeah, he's got a fucking collection of all kinds of old crazy shit.
Oh, I believe it. He's legendary for that.
Yeah. How about this, Sophie's Choice? Utah Jazz or Real Salt Lake?
You know what? I'll say Utah Jazz.
Have you gotten into that whole Real Salt Lake thing?
I've followed it a little bit. I don't really follow sports heavily, so I couldn't tell you like very much about it.
I just mean that like everybody now, like because Utah has a soccer or a football team, like that's pretty incredible. So like everybody goes. I hear they're fun. I haven't been to one, but
it looks like a hell of a good time. Like, and when there's a handful of people that I know that go to those games, and like, you know, if nothing else, like even if you don't really care about sports, that just looks like a fun environment to be in.
I didn't care about the Trappers, and I used to love going to the Trappers games. And that, for anyone that doesn't know, that was Utah's baseball team. Now they're the Buzz, but
right. That's OP.
Yeah. Hey, if you could only watch one of these two movies for the rest of your life, which movie would you pick? Okay, here's the two: From Dusk Till Dawn or Red Dawn.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh yeah.
I actually just rewatched that probably like a month ago.
That was a good one. That's the one with Salma Hayek and
yes. I mean, it goes off the rails.
Oh, yeah.
It goes off the rails.
That's an important part of the movie.
Yeah, Cheech is in that. He plays like 3 different characters in it.
Vampires?
Yeah, well, it started off. I remember when I went to see it in the theater, and I was like, and I was a huge Quentin Tarantino fan, but I remember we were in the theater, and I was like, did we fucking go to the wrong... Did I get the wrong tickets? Because I thought this was a vampire movie.
Right.
And I was loving it, but I was like, I swear this was a vampire movie. And then all of a sudden, it went off the rails.
Yeah, I was going to say, it takes that quick turn, and then it's all the vampire action makes up for how different the beginning is.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a really cool movie. Are you working on new music?
Yeah, I have been actually. I haven't done any recording, but maybe a month ago I played a show where I did like a handful of new ones, new songs. I'm always kind of collecting beats, and then just whenever, even if I kind of don't know, even if I don't feel like I have anything to say at the moment, like if I just come across something I gotta have, then I just put it in the stash, and then once I kind of feel compelled to write or whatever, have time to do it, then I'll kind of start just kind of going through the beats and seeing what I have on hand that kind of matches my mood.
Well, is your angle, do you like making, do you like doing singles, or do you like coming up with a whole album? Or
mostly I think I've done like, I've never like had like a full like concept or something like that for an album. I kind of just start making songs, and then once I feel like I have enough that I want to put out, then I just put it out. But the last few years I've done more just like putting out individual songs.
Yeah. Well, I was talking in the intro that Coffin Lid is one of my all-time favorite songs, not just from you, but
thank you.
Yeah, it's a number 1 song in my list. And then I like all your stuff, and I did want to bring it up in the intro. Your voice does not fit who you look like, which is awesome to me. But yeah, Leave Me Alone is also another track that pops off in my playlist quite a bit. So yeah, I'm a fan. I like it.
Yeah, that Coffin Lid one was fun. It was a little like the beat was a little bit different, you know. It was like doesn't necessarily right off sound like a hip hop song.
Is that the one that sounds a little bluesy?
It does have a bluesy vibe to it. It always reminded me of, it has nothing, I think maybe because I was listening to them at the same time a lot, but it reminded me of Sage Francis's Johnny, when Johnny Cash.
Something.
Yeah. Good job.
Johnny or something
I don't
like
know,
that.
because they kind of had that not normal hip hop sound. Because when did Coffin Lid come out? Like 2015, 16, 17?
It's probably like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's like one of your older, not older, but
Like
I mean,
2013.
yeah, that's a good song.
I think it came out like probably 9 or 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's so good. Hey, is there anything in your life that has to be a certain color or you won't buy it? Like a toothbrush or a car or anything? Guess not.
I don't know.
Only,
I have a lot of black
hoodies?
secrets.
Yeah, I was gonna say only black hoodies.
I don't really wear. colorful clothes. I like them just like plain black t-shirt.
It's funny, like I can't buy things that are red. And I just always thought I was a Crip. Like I was never technically affiliated, but it's so bizarre. Like I really have a hard time. Like I have a snot rag out of my pocket. Like it's literally a snot rag. It's not just a rag. But I can't, for some reason, I can't do a red one.
Right. I feel like, I have like maybe like one red shirt that I bought as somebody's merch.
Right.
That I guess I actually do I'll wear it occasionally, but it kind of feels like I'm making some kind of other statement when I wear it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Yeah, that's maybe what I feel like it could be. Hey, let me hit you with a useless fact. Well, that's one of the things we do on our show. I was trying to think of a few. I was trying to think of one, and usually I try to thematically make them, but I didn't want this to just be a Utah episode. And I only say that because you and I are both from Utah, and we're homies in Utah. But so I was going to do a Utah useless fact, but I decided to go against it. So then I decided to come up with find these 4 useless facts. So I'll just spit them out to you real quick.
4?
Yeah, they're quick. The first one is that flamingos can only eat with their heads upside down. I thought that was pretty fucking interesting.
I've never heard that.
And I don't know like what that means. Like, do they have to turn their neck upside down to eat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's where they're all dipping into the water like that.
I guess. And then there are 32 muscles in a cat's ear. That one's not all that interesting, but I don't know.
Muscly ears.
Yeah, they should get in the Mr. Olympia.
Right.
The chicken and the ostrich are the closest living relative to, do you guys know?
Dinosaur.
Yeah, the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Wow.
And then the fourth one is that, do you guys, I'll ask it as a question, but do you guys know who invented the word nerd?
No.
Do you, Adrienne?
Einstein.
No. It was Dr. Seuss. So, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there are your 4 facts. Do you have any New Year's resolutions, or are you the type to do those, or do you have anything you want to change up this year?
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for New Year's resolutions. I kind of have sort of the same ones every year, but
So they're working.
Still working.
Some of them are working. I just try to like get in better shape and do more art and like kind of just, I guess it's just a matter of like, I always want to kind of turn the volume up, on what I'm doing.
Like a recalibration then.
Yeah. I've tried to like, I don't know. I'll find something I want to work on, and then whether that be like something style wise or technique wise, art, with art or whatever, or something like that. And then I'll kind of go on it for a while. And then when I kind of catch myself, I feel like I'm coasting.
Yes.
Then I'll try to find a new challenge or a new way to like not get bored with what I'm working on or whatever.
Is creating more artwork usually one of your main ones that you tend to go to, like when a New Year's coming around?
If I'm working on, if I kind of switch back and forth between periods where I'm more heavy, like on my music thing, or sometimes I'm more heavy on like doing art. Right now I'm spending more time working on art. And so it's like, all right, I got a art show coming up that just passed the first of the year. And so that was sort of like in preparation, or the first thing I was already kind of starting early on my New Year's resolutions, because I kind of like making stuff, but I haven't displayed much very recently. And so I was like, all right, it's time for me to kind of get off my ass and like,
how does that manifest? Do you force yourself to like book a solo show to force yourself to have to create work for it? Or do you just get after it?
Well, I already have like a lot of stuff on hand, but, I felt like I needed like a little nudge to get going on more new stuff. And so that's kind of what I've been doing. I probably booked it like a month ago or something like that. And so I've just been kind of working on some like newer, larger size pieces to kind of anchor the show. Cause I already had like a good amount of other stuff for maybe like the last couple of years that, maybe I posted or something on my Instagram story or on my Instagram feed or whatever, but nobody's, it's not been hanging anywhere in the real world.
Do you like that? Yeah, because it is different. And I don't know, like, I think this is a lot for young artists who mostly just post their stuff online. But do you enjoy, there is quite a difference of like posting a picture and then having like your work hanging on a gallery wall. Like, that's exciting. It still is to me. That's why I've never worried about this AI bullshit that everyone's all freaking out about and stuff. Because like, it's still very fucking awesome to see the artwork hanging on a wall in person.
Oh yeah. I think that that to me is the goal. I want to do that. I think I kind of look at it as two different things. I look at sharing on Instagram as just that. It's just sharing it online, but if you have it hanging somewhere, that to me implies that you've got something on your hands that's actually worth sharing, because you've got to get the okay of somebody, whoever's space you're utilizing for your show, to be like, okay, right. Yeah, we want to let you come in and take over. And so it's
almost like someone vouching. Like, it's almost like, because anybody can post online.
Exactly.
But to get it up in a spot, someone else had to vouch for, kind of like.
What is your medium?
Lately, my main thing has been just acrylic painting, but I think probably my favorite thing to do is to do like maybe for lack of a better term, or maybe there's not a better term, but like a mixed media illustrations. So probably my favorite thing to do is that. So I'll get like that kind of thick, like Bristol paper basically. And that stuff you can draw on with a pen. You can do watercolor, marker, acrylic, spray paint, whatever. It can kind of stand up to some abuse. So you can use a lot of different mediums on it.
Yeah.
And so you can end up with something that maybe an artist could look at and see how you had done it. But the average person, I would kind of look at it and maybe have to wonder a little bit about how the piece went together, if that makes sense. Like I think that, and that's something I just picked up from other people, I'm just watching people online or whatever, and just see like, cause I would wonder the same thing, see a piece of art and be like, God, like, how the hell did they make this?
Yeah.
And then see like maybe like a time lapse or something where you're like, oh, okay, well, they pulled out an airbrush and then they used pen, and then they went back and retouched it with some highlights with gouache or acrylic, and then they masked it off and did some spray paint or whatever, just to try, because I try to do a little bit of everything. And so,
yeah, what's cool too, like, even though you'll use different materials, but you have a very distinct style. And for me, I've always told people, I feel like that's like one of the that's the thing to do. Come up with your style and be the best at it. And I'm always a fan of anyone that creates work with, like, you could see it anywhere in the world and go, oh shit, that's one of Dusks' piece. That's how when I see your work, I know it's such a specific style. Was it like graffiti based, or where did you curate that style from? A mixture of things?
It's kind of a mixture of things. The graffiti stuff was definitely, that was a big influence. I wasn't really like a super active graffiti writer or anything like that. You know what I mean? I did like a little bit of stuff, but I would be like any kind of like dudes that do it for real would see what I did and just be like, all right, whatever. But, it certainly was an influence, and some of that just came from just trying to just be like the well-rounded hip hop guy. But graffiti, cartoons, album covers, skateboard graphics.
Yeah. Were you a big fan of the Zor? What's the guy? I forget his name all of a sudden. They did the Zorlak skateboards.
Oh, Pusshead.
Oh yeah. God, yeah. Skateboard art was like a big one for me, for sure.
Right, and as I follow that, actually, there's a handful of those guys that did tons of skateboard graphics, especially dudes that were putting out a lot of artwork in the 90s. Actually, were graffiti writers.
Yeah.
there's some that I would discover later, because if I find an artist or a band or anything that I like, I have to know everything about it. So I'll find, interviews or read a biography or read their Wikipedia page, like whatever I can find, just because I just like to know all about something that I'm interested in. And anyway, through doing that, I would discover like, there's a handful of guys that I was, like when I'd buy like a graffiti magazine or something, I would be a fan of their stuff, and then pick up a Thrasher and see like an ad that was full of their artwork of graphics that they had designed for somebody, and not realize until years later it was the same guy.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Do you have a favorite artist? Or I'll make you do it in two. Do you have like a favorite artist that does, not a graffiti artist, but like a favorite artist?
Yeah, let's see. There's a handful come to mind. I've been looking at a lot of like fantasy artwork lately, which is something I was never really interested in the past, but like a lot of like Frank Frazetta or Ralph Bakshi kind of stuff, or he's more cartoon style. Older stuff would be like, I don't know the exact pronunciation of his last name, but Alphonse Mucha. He does like the kind of Art Nouveau, where it's like he usually would have like a female figure, and then it would be like these kind of like geometric kind of frames around it. That guy's stuff I've liked a lot.
Frank Frazetta is awesome.
Yeah, his stuff is incredible. Like the way that just all of it, just if you're an art person, you look at his technique and his understanding of lighting and shading and whatever, is just like, oh man.
Yeah, it was so fucking good that it was someone that I never like looked up, because I was like, oh, I'll never be able to do shit like that. Like I was just growing up, I was like, oh God, that's like a photograph quality, but like a. Adrienne, do you know who he did like the Conan art? Yeah. His shit's fucking awesome.
It looks like covers of novels to my.
Yeah, I think a lot of his stuff was for that sort of thing.
He's so good, and he actually paints them. Well, I don't know what I was gonna go. I was gonna try to go off on something there. Well, let me hit you. I got it. This timer just went off. I'm gonna hit you with some of these important questions that I wanted to get to you. Here's what happens to me. I get all worried. Like I'm like, shit, I got to come up with these things I want to bring up to people. So I come up with a whole bunch of shit, and then I realize I'll never get to them, because I like just having conversations with people. And so like the conversation always goes off into something else, and I forget to just allow myself to go like, well, that's what the show is anyway. So
it doesn't hurt to be prepared.
But let's do one of the definite ones we do is the trivia question. So let me hit you with a trivia question. It's a pop culture trivia question. You can pick the decade that it comes from. It can be the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or 2000s.
All right.
Which decade do you want?
The 60s.
Oh, shit. Yeah, here we go. Everyone always goes with the 80s, so 60s is good. All right. Oh, boy. Well, that one's easy, but here it goes. Bruce Lee played Kato, the sidekick of which 1960s TV crime fighter?
I don't know that.
Oh, is that the Green Hornet?
That's right, the Green Hornet.
Wait.
Bruce Lee was his sidekick.
The Green Hornet?
The Green Hornet. It's a different, not the Green Lantern.
Oh.
The Green Hornet.
And that's sort of what launched his Hollywood career.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently there's a TV series out called Warrior, about Bruce Lee's coming to San Francisco, and I don't know. I haven't watched it. I just heard about it yesterday.
I'm gonna check that out. I love documentaries.
Yeah. Oh well, I think it's not. I think it's just a series actually.
Oh, it's a series. Okay.
I don't know. Hey, if they were gonna make a movie about your life, who would you prefer to play you out of Ryan Phillippe or Ryan Reynolds?
Not Ryan Gosling.
Not Ryan Gosling. He doesn't. I can't give you him.
I'll go with Ryan Reynolds.
Okay. It's funny you say that because when I was asking the question, I actually thought if they really were, I thought Ryan Phillippe would play a good Dusk. I don't know why. I don't know. I was looking at him and I was like, yeah, I guess he could play Dusk.
Let's see what he looks like.
Yeah, I just not even
I just
look.
picked
It was just like
Homeboy just because I think he's funny.
Ryan
His
Reynolds.
kind of sarcasm I
Yeah.
appreciate.
He's the Ant-Man.
Ant-Man?
Yeah.
No, he's Deadpool.
Yeah, Deadpool.
All these
All these names.
actors.
Adrienne does not like to keep up on the actors and the movie things. Who is your? I didn't get to it, but do you have a favorite graffiti artist or someone that's like rattle can focused?
Twist.
Oh,
Barry
yeah.
McGee. He's probably my biggest influence. You know, that was why I just copying his stuff was like what. Like the characters and stuff like that. I have old stuff that just is. I was like straight up just copying his shit.
Yeah, but that's where you got to start.
Oh yeah. But he just had like such a cool style. I thought like just black and white or two color, and just like so simply shaded, but but not simple at the same time. I don't know.
No, it's a good style for sure. Well, all right. Let me hit you with a couple of these Sophie's choices.
All right.
The Osmonds or the Used?
The Used.
Are you a fan of the Used at all, or do you just not a fan of the Osmonds?
They're all right. I don't know their music super well. They used to come into Urban Lounge back when I was first a door guy there, and they're always cool.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because they're from Provo, right?
Wait, the Osmonds didn't play at the Urban Lounge?
Not while I worked there.
I wonder if they ever had.
You never know. There's all kinds of people that would play there, and then I would hear about it later. And it would be somebody that I'd want to see, and they would be like, "Oh, so and so played here," and I'm like,
"Oh,
what?"
Yes,
like, dude, a month ago. I'm like, what?
Well, speaking of shows played anywhere, were you at the show at Kilby Court when Idea was there and like the sound guy, like the whole sound system blew up?
Yes.
You were at that? Because I just heard about it. I was not there, but a friend of mine was there, and he just was talking about it on our Christmas party.
Yeah. That's the sound was getting kind of crazy, but they still rocked it. They rocked the hell out of that place.
Yeah. Everybody I talk to also seems to have, well, they either have a great memory or a horrible memory of playing Kilby Court. But
oh yeah, I mean, all ages shows in a small spot are tricky. You know, like if you don't, I'd say I've had both playing there, and it was not the fault of anybody of really, you know, it wasn't like any like detriment to the venue, but it just like if nobody shows up, it's just like
yeah.
It's just like, and there's like, it's awkward because you're just like rapping to like a handful of people in a small room. But then when it's packed in a small room, there's nothing better.
Yeah.
We stumbled. We were in St. Louis waiting. Our kids were at a concert, Mother. And we were just waiting because we live 100 miles from there. So we stumbled into this, not stumbled.
No, it's a major blues joint.
We walk into this, a serious blues joint, but he and I were the only ones in there.
Oh, and this fucking band, they were so good.
They were really good. And then we had to go pick them up and we're like, sorry, we got to go.
Yeah, we had to go pick up our kids. But yeah, no.
But we were the only two people in there besides the bartender.
It's been a long time since I've been to a show like that.
I felt so bad.
I felt horrible, but we had to leave.
It happens to everybody. I've seen, you know, like I worked in music venue for like 15, 16 years. And it just like in a city that's this size of Salt Lake, like it's only big enough for a couple of things to go on. So I've seen bands come, and the first time they come, it sold out, like not room for not another person in the building. And then they come back, and then, oh damn, you know what? Bad luck. Yeah. Snoop Dogg is playing a sold out concert at USANA.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Everybody show that doesn't have to work is at that concert.
That's at every show where it's kind of dead. I don't know if this happens in other cities, but it definitely happens here. The first thing you start doing is, oh, so-and-so is playing it here, or someone's playing here, that's why no one's here, or a jazz game. Yeah, that's true. There's only that, But that's kind of, I think that's changing because there's a lot of people that are coming from out, like moving in town from out of town. So there's a lot more people that go to the nightlife. Because one of the things for Salt Lake City back in the day is you would go to shows or to clubs or hang in these spots. You would always see the same people who lived in cities, totally other areas that you didn't even ever know, but you'd always be like, oh, that's that dude, or that's that dude, or that's that dude. That's
right.
You would cut, but
you kind of know who everybody is, even if you never like conversate. I don't think that's the case now. I like it. I don't go out that much now, but when I do, I'll kind of go out and I'm like, who the hell are all these people?
That's how I feel now. That's how I'm going to feel at your No, actually at your show, by the way, we mentioned it in the top. You have a show, a solo show next weekend at the Acorn Gallery, an art show.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's how I'm going to feel at your show. I'm going to feel like I don't know if I can know any of these people, but actually it's probably going to have a lot of old heads there that I've never met, but I just always would see at spots.
Right.
That just happened to me with Ben. You know Ben well, right?
Oh yeah,
Weimaraner?
So, yeah, I've never actually talked to him in person.
Weimar, yeah.
I say Weimaraner because it's a cute dog.
Oh, that's
but I'm
right.
probably pronouncing that wrong.
Yeah, he's a badass.
Yeah, we were at a show. We were at the punk rock and paint. Well, it was Christian Slater, or not Christian Slater. Christian Hossoy's solo show at Feist Gallery. And I ran into Ben there and we talked. But I've seen him around at everything. And always had respect for him, but that was the first time we ever talked. But
he's great. He's such a cool dude, and like one of the most talented people you'll ever meet.
Yeah, he's been part of this scene for a fucking long time. Yeah, well, shit.
Oh, I was gonna say when you were talking about having going to a show, a hip hop show, and there's a jazz game on or whatever. But the same thing happens with art shows, because if we're at an art show and and we're down south and there's a Saints game on, forget it.
Oh yeah, that's
true. No one's gonna show up anywhere except for a tailgate party.
Yeah, you got to be strategic in your bookings. I've learned. I've been on the losing end of a Snoop Dogg concert myself plenty times. We're like, nobody's here. Shit.
Smart to look at all the other calendars out there.
I do want to hit you with just a couple of questions because I want to put some white highlights, at least a tiny bit. But
it's looking insane, by the way. That's so dope to just watch this go together.
Well, thank you. I just got to find my white pencil.
Is that thing? It looks kind of like a condom with a foot.
No, it's it's like a wizard's. It's like a wizard's hat. Not a wizard's.
Not your drawing, but I was looking it up over here. I was like, what exactly is this thing?
He's kind of a hooligan as far as the cartoon characters go. He's always drunk and whatever.
He was a drunk thing. What was it called again? Wizards and Cheech and Wizard?
Cheech Wizard.
Cheech Wizard.
Yeah.
Find a pencil here real quick. Hold on.
Sorry, I'm looking him up again.
I got it. I just want to put a few white highlights in there, and then we can wrap it. I didn't mean to go on so long. Sorry. This happens every time. While I do that, here's a question. What's a better war song? Are you familiar with War?
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite war songs is "The World Is a Ghetto," but that's not one of the questions or one of the ones. Here's which is a better war song? Why Can't We Be Friends or Lowrider?
Ooh, you know what? Both great tunes. I'm gonna go with Lowrider though.
Yeah, that's like, well, yeah, especially if you're in the hip hop scene, like,
right?
Did you used to do the hey? Sorry, I'm jumping all. So I'm sorry. I was gonna say something about staples in Utah again, but there was a staple in Utah. I don't know if you know the guy personally. But there was a thing in Utah called Dragon State, and everybody did it. And these are the stories I tell my kids. But there was a dude that had a fucking lowrider with a hot tub in the back, and his name was Bam Bam. And everybody fucking knew of Bam Bam. And he had the bump in his system. You didn't know who Bam Bam was?
Did you? I mean, we used to go out and drag state sometimes too, but I don't. It sounds kind of familiar, but I can't say for sure. But I mean, I can definitely remember being hyped to see lowriders and stuff back in the day.
Yeah, he had the lowrider truck with the hot tub in the back.
I feel like you were older than us, though.
Why? You just said
Not
he was
you,
20.
Dusk. You.
Oh, me?
Yeah. So I think there was a different set of people, and you were running around with your older uncles.
That's true. I was hanging out
So,
with an older crowd.
I think
and
you
I
were-
guess I'm probably older. I think me and Dust might be the same age. Or something.
Yeah, I'm 44.
Yeah, I'm only a year older.
Oh.
Yeah, Dust just looks like he's 20.
I thought I was 44 until I realized what year it was, and then I was like, "Oh, cool! I'm only 42."
Yeah, you got a
This
while
is
to
great.
go.
Wow, you still got your whole life ahead of you.
That's right. Hey, which would you prefer to be in attendance, or which would you prefer that you were at? A Scribble Jam rap battle or the Apocalypse Now rap party?
Oh, dang. I would say, you know what? I never got to go to Scribble Jam. I would say the Scribble Jam one.
Yeah, I thought you would go with that one because you'd get more out of that. Like you would probably even be able to, you'd be able to like talk to more people. Like you'd be on a level with more people at the Apocalypse Now party. You'd just kind of be a spectator.
When we first heard about Scribble Jam, that was like sort of the introduction to like actually a lot of the people that you've had on the show.
Yeah.
Like this kid Adverse, he was the first person to show me Atmosphere or talk to us about like Mr. Dibbs or any of that kind of stuff. And I can remember he showed us like the first Atmosphere album. And then at that time, I didn't really have the concept of the underground. So I went around to like every like media play and CD store in
Couldn't
town,
find
like
it.
looking for Atmosphere. And probably at the time that like the only way there's probably only, 1,000 of them made, and you'd have to run into Slug to buy one or something,
Yeah.
You would see like the guy that put me on to rap shows was this dude Tangent. He was started with the Numbs back in the day and then split off and did his own thing. And there was a show that we played that they had somewhere here. I have no idea where it is, but I had the flyer for it. It was one of the first things that I played where I was kind of like this dude's hype man. And he would let me do a little verse here and there. And they had like a bunch of the dudes from the Shapeshifters, like AWOL and those guys. They had a bunch of the Anticon guys. Like just now it would be like a whole festival lineup, but it was like one show, and like everybody, way too many people. The show was probably like 5 hours. You know what I mean? They had like everybody that was notable local was on it, and I had somehow managed to sneak in on that. I was just there to see the show, and then I ran into the dude that I had been playing those shows with, and he was like, "Hey, you want to come up with me?" And I was just like,
"Oh, how dope is that?"
Oh, it was so terrifying, though.
Of course,
because but I was at the same time was so like I was so hyped to do it. You couldn't say no to something like that, even though I was like just so shy and like real super awkward and everything. But it was, it was just like in some old like a warehouse or something. I don't even know how they were doing a show in there.
Well, yeah,
that was a lot of our youth.
Yeah, that was fun. A lot of those are always the most memorable shows, like raves in the bottom of like just hotels randomly. That were falling apart, or I don't know. Yeah,
right.
Cool shit.
When you think back, you're like, how did they get access to this? Because there's like probably the oldest person in attendance was probably 20 years old.
Yeah.
That's why it was secret.
Yeah, I know.
That's why you had to buy, you had to know where to buy the tickets.
Where did you used to have to buy those rave tickets from? What was the name
Ranch.
of that? At what we were just talking about earlier.
Ranch.
No.
Function.
Function used to sell rave
Function
tickets.
or Mechanized or something like that.
Oh yeah, Mechanized. Probably. That was the one I was thinking of. Mechanized. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I went to some shows that were like the hip hop shows that were in the basement of Mechanized back in the day.
Yeah, it's cool. The hip hop scene in Utah is always cool. And all these people that I talk to now that I've kind of formed friendships with, they all have good memories. Factor Chandelier doesn't have a great memory because he got arrested and pulled over for weed, and then he's from Canada, so it almost caused a big, that
adds another layer to the complications.
Yeah, because he might not be able to come over to the country where he makes a big amount of his money. But most everybody has really fond memories of Salt Lake City, and because the hip hop support in Salt Lake City was always, I felt, was like pretty dominant. It was like
people were real hungry for that here, especially like that kind of like indie rap or whatever you want to call it, that kind of underground stuff, like a lot of it coming out of the Midwest and whatever. Like people ate that up out here, still do,
Yeah. I wonder if now, because of the internet and stuff, you know, we have this conversation quite a bit. Sorry, I will wrap this up. But I'd have this conversation quite a bit with people. There was a time when I was growing up, I was raised in Utah, but my aunt lived in Chicago, and she was kind of not famous, but she was pretty high up in Chicago. And so I would fly out there. She didn't have kids, but I'd fly out there and she'd take care of me. She'd put me up. She'd take me to all the dopest spots, and I'd get all the flyest gear. And then I'd come back to Utah, and I'd be like, I had the best shit, because Utah, for a long time, people that were from Utah knew we were always like 5 to 10 years behind on styles and everything. But times have changed. Yeah, with no internet. But now everybody, all these places, all these small towns, we're all kind of on the same spectrum, which why I feel like maybe there's not like a real strong subculture, right? Like there's not anything that's, at least for me personally. I don't know if it's because I'm old or but I think it has to do with the internet. It's
changed. We were lucky to grow up when we did, because I mean, now everything's easy. You can just see it. And there, you know, like, I don't like hate technology or anything, but like the sort of adventure of having to discover things, you know, like you would have to like get your hands on a tape, or maybe your buddy would dub you a tape or burn you a CD. And then, you know, say if you like, I can think of like people would borrow me an album. I would read through every bit of the liner notes, see the bands they shouted out, see the clothing labels they shouted out. What are they wearing?
Yeah.
What's the samples from the songs? What label is this on? Send off for a catalog and some stickers. You know, I can remember like going to somebody's house that like had like a big record collection or a big CD collection, was like, oh, like I've encountered a man of culture here. Look at all these CDs. You know, like this dude knows about a bunch of bands I don't know, or whatever, you know, and as opposed to just like, I don't know, it's just a difference in times or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was like sort of a badge of honor to like know about stuff. Like to me, like I would look at people that were kind of up on music and movies and things like that knew about stuff that wasn't just totally mainstream. It's like you really, it kind of went without saying that this person had put in their hours and done some homework to know about stuff that wasn't necessarily readily accessible, you know?
Yeah, I admire people like that. I still do to this day, people who are caught up on stuff. Because even though it is different, the amount of information that's out there now to really get caught up on one thing is pretty remarkable still in itself. But yeah, even when you were saying that goes with everything, music and everything. That goes with video games. Like we were playing that video game with my son last night, and we couldn't get past. We were playing for 4 hours. We couldn't get past this board, so I just Googled it. Like, how do you get to this? We had to. We were like, where the fuck? Well, we didn't, but that's true. But like when we were young. Yeah, but you can. That's the problem.
Right.
You got to figure it out. You got to leave your sense of wonder alone and just think on things.
This is true. No, this is true.
Yeah.
Okay, two final questions, and then I'll get the philosophical question, and then we'll wrap up with promotions.
Do
you have any show plans or anything for NBA All-Star Weekend? That's a big weekend here in Salt Lake City. You doing any show or anything, taking advantage of that?
I didn't even know it was coming up.
Yeah, that's in February 19th. So there's a lot of people that are in town for that. That's
They'll all be at the basketball thing.
No.
Right. So I'm not the show.
Just do it right out in front of the whatever the center is.
No, the gig to get is to book the halftime show.
Oh, right.
But no, people will be in town. There's nightlife will still be happening.
Right.
And it's a big weekend.
The night after. Or the night before.
Well, so no plans for that. All right, fine. So who would you rather have as your DJ at a show? Elijah Wood or Tiger Woods?
I know who I'd rather have.
Or how about this? Who would you rather your hype man, Elijah Wood or Tiger Woods?
Oh, man. Tiger Woods.
Oh, you think he would be a good hype man? He's kind of boring on his interviews.
Well,
but actually, you don't want your
more
hype man to
legendary,
be.
though.
That's true, and you don't want your hype man to be fucking more better
he's
than you are.
I've heard that he's highly competitive, so maybe
Oh yeah,
he doesn't want to be up there looking like a stiff.
that's true. But then is he trying to take over your spot?
I dare him to try.
That's right. Well, here's your final philosophical question. That's how we end every episode.
All right.
Should art be used to influence political, religious, social, environmental views?
Yes, it can be. That's not necessarily ever been my bag, like with my visual art or with my music. But that said, some of my favorites have been that way. You know, like without that, if art and politics don't intermingle, then we have no Public Enemy. We have no Rage Against the Machine. You have no Shepard Fairey. You have no In Decline.
Oh yeah.
Things like that. So that's like I said, it's never necessarily been my thing, but there has been some great work done that way. But at the same time, also there's high potential for kind of cringy stuff. But
Yeah.
you know, there's potential for that no matter what. So
That's true.
yeah, I'll say that's acceptable.
Yeah. Well,
Right. 'Cause I mean, those are sort of like that was how I think I got introduced to certain ideas, or like maybe sometimes it's not even, it's like they're kind of stating the obvious in a way, but you're like, oh yeah, like that is messed up, or oh, this does deserve some attention, or whatever, you know?
Well, not only that, in Salt Lake City, we weren't exposed. Well, people weren't exposed to certain things. It doesn't matter.
Nah.
All right. So, what if you have to get your, if someone could only hear one of your songs, what's going to be the song you want them to check out if they haven't heard of you? What's the one song that they should check out that's going to probably turn them on to the rest of your catalog?
Ghost Dog.
Man, I've been low-key chillin', watch me pick up where I left off. I've been a solo villain, but I'm back with the head knock. I Babe Ruth back when he was playing for the Red Sox. Chillin' with the shorty, got my feet up watching Red Box. East side chicks, know I must be from the boondocks. 6 million ways, Cuddy ranks up in my boombox. 10 dickies, black kicks, black tube socks. My GPS is too fresh, I never get you lost. I'm at home when I go.
Oh yeah, that's a good track. You have is there a music video for that too?
No, there's not a video for it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's probably one of my favorites.
I overwent and forgot we had to go to a thing. But before we leave, what's the best way you like people to stay in touch with what you're up to? Where do you prefer people to get your music and information that's anything about Dusk Raps?
I think the best way for anybody to keep up with me is on Instagram. My handle is just at Dusk Raps, DUSKRAPS. And from there, you can find basically anything I'm up to as far as like artwork, any hip hop shows or DJ nights or anything like that.
All right. And then you have a Bandcamp. Do you sell on Bandcamp?
Yeah, I'm on all the streaming.
Okay.
And basically anywhere music is, or if you're like Bandcamp, I'm there, SoundCloud, all the streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, blah, blah, blah. Everywhere you can have music.
Well, everyone go check out Dusk Raps music. It's fucking dope. And then check him out, his artwork also through his Instagram, and then find out where he's going to be displaying or exhibiting his artwork. We'll be seeing you next weekend, Friday, for your show. Looking forward to seeing that and picking up my piece that I got from you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Also, I just want to just take a second, just thank you for the support over the years, and just watching you guys do your thing just from afar has been real cool and real inspiring to see, you know, trying to do something with art can be, at times can seem like sort of out of reach, but when you watch somebody, you know, do it, it's like, all right, if I work hard enough, you know, then I can do it, you know, and you kind of, whether you're trying to or not, you're sort of like the way that you guys have turned your art into the business that it is, you know, it's like it gives the rest of us a roadmap to follow.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I really do. Well, yeah, we'll see you at your show, and thanks for joining us. And
my pleasure.
Yeah, that's it for now, everybody.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
All right, Dust. Yeah, great seeing you, man. We'll see you next
likewise.
weekend.
Yeah,
Bye.
take care.
All right, brother. Peace.
Bye.
Back to the gritty Wasatch grid I'm living in. No static, nomadic citizen. Chromatic color spin. Cro-magnon urge, let the drums begin. Run right with the wind, let sunlight in.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Dusk. Everyone go check out Dusks. His stuff's awesome. His artwork's awesome. His music's awesome. Awesome is a word that I'm using today. There you go. We'll see you next time on DOD45. Adrienne, any final words?
I think there needs to be a rap battle during the apocalypse. Nothing.
Oh,
It was your two choices there. It's long gone.
oh.
Okay, bye.
All right, everyone. Have a great weekend. That's it for now from DOD45. Our next guest is Illogic. Thanks, Dusk Raps, for everything. Everyone go check out Dusk Raps. That's it for now. Peace.
DOD45.
Thank you for joining in on yet another episode of DOD45. Please hit the subscribe or follow button so that you never miss an episode. You can even go one step further by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts to help other interesting people like yourself find our podcast. You can find me at ArtByTai on all the socials or at ArtByTai.com. If you'd like to follow this podcast on social media, we are at DOD45W on Instagram, or you can go over to our website, DOD45.com, where you can shoot us an email, join our mailing list, and watch all of our past episodes. Thanks for joining us. Peace.